everybody. So if you're new here, my name is Taria and this is my face. This is my first sit down video, so you'll have to excuse me as I keep looking at the screen that shows me the shot instead of at you, at the lens. Please bear with me as I work on it. So my chosen name here on the interweb world is Sovoluntaria, or Taria for short. And so far on my YouTube channel, I have a bunch of, and by a bunch, of course, I mean 3. I have 3 bullet journal videos. And my plan with this channel is to have little bits of whatever I want, because it's my corner of the internet. So there might be things you pop in to see, and other things you're like, nah, who cares? I originally figured my first sit-down video would be the first in a series I'm planning to do, which is trying to reconcile my personal beliefs with living in a modern world. And the two are very contradictory, and they butt heads with each other constantly. And then I saw a video from Pagan Perspective, which if you haven't seen it, check them out down below. And it was them asking questions. Now, I've been watching Pagan Perspective for about a year. They were really my first delving into this kind of world. And I love it. And I've talked to Cara, or Cutewitch772. I'll also link her down below. I've talked to them a few times about questions, general musings. I've been on a few of her lives. And I want to have a part in this conversation. So the video they posted, Cara's, was questions for you, link down below. That's the one specifically. And she posted 5 questions. So this video, I thought I would address those questions here. And I like to talk, so please settle in. Put this on in the background while you do some cleaning. I do that all the time, especially with Pagan Perspective videos. That's pretty much for the better part of a year. I had Pagan Perspective videos just playing in the background all the time. So settle in, and I hope you'll enjoy. So the first question she has is, what is your favorite thing to study that is related to your spiritual path? And in the vaguest sense possible, I would say mine is the earth. Now, it's not necessarily straight science, sitting down and studying, here's the mantle, here's the core, that kind of stuff. I love the science of it. It's studying things that are speaking about spirituality and the earth. I can show you a few examples. Here we have the white spirit animals. If you've seen my spiritual bullet journal video, which you can find down there, always check down below or up in the cards, then you won't be surprised that I've brought this out. This is a book all about the belief, it is mostly an indigenous belief, that all these white animals we started seeing however many years ago, I don't remember the specific years. They are there to send a message. It was foretold that when the earth was in desperate need, all these white spirit animals would come and give us these messages. And it's talking about the different kinds of white spirit animals. That's why it says Prophets of Change. And it is by J. Zahara Meyerhoff Hieronymus. Apologies for my pronunciation. If you know the correct pronunciation, please let us know. And this book is fantastic. So you have this book which talks about prophecies, and it talks about a culture, a spiritual belief. And it also adds a lot of commentary, and it talks a lot and speaks a lot to how we treat our world and how the two are intertwined. So that's one. I will link the actual book itself, an Amazon link, down below. I've also got some blog posts where I've talked about this book. My website and all my social media is always down in the bottom bar, and you can check it out if you're curious at all. So there's that book. Then we have something like this, Last Child in the Woods. Saving Our Children from Nature Deficit Disorder, which I just recently found out has become a known phenomenon. And this is by Richard Louv. Now, I haven't finished this book. My husband and I were reading it together. I read it by myself and partway through. But this book, this is talking more in a scientific sense from what I remember. It doesn't talk about prophecies. It doesn't talk about that. It talks about, hey, we are taking our children and we are removing them from nature, and this is what is happening, and this is how it is affecting us. This is another example of the type of book I love for my spirituality. Now, the reason I love these books is because they put words to the thoughts I've always had that I could never figure out how to say. They speak to me on such a level. It makes me want to, it's one of those things, I sit down and I read and I want to completely reshape my life around it because it just touches that place of me. And it means so much to me. It spawns ideas, it gives me inspiration, it makes me unbelievably mad at the world and mad at people, and it sparks something in me, something that feels like this is it, this is part of what I am supposed to do, this is part of who I am, this is part of what I am supposed to be. And it seems anything earth related, it seems it's quite the umbrella of earth umbrella, Taria underneath it, learning all the things and having all the fun and all the tears and all the anger. So that's question 1 in semi-short form. Okay, so for question 2, we have favorite thing about where you live. I feel like this is really colored by the time of year I'm in right now. There's definitely some confusion and depth to this. So I am in Canada. It is currently, let's see. It is currently a real feel of -30. And that is, it is currently a real feel of -22 degrees Fahrenheit for those who use Fahrenheit. And it is one of the milder temperatures I've lived through. I have lived through in Celsius with wind chill, -52 degrees Celsius or -61.6 degrees Fahrenheit. I've lived through cold. And Cara, if you're watching this, I hope you are. I'm envisioning you shivering because I know you're a freeze baby. You are a self-proclaimed freeze baby. And for all the other freeze babies out there, yeah, I know. It's really cold. It's really cold. And I'm Canadian, born and raised. So this is a little weird too, because I've moved 16 times in 27 years of life. That's a little fun fact for you. So I haven't really found a home base. I adore my new apartment, but there's a lot of lacking. So I'm going to go with the fact that, so I'm in Ontario, Canada, to be more specific. I'm in Oshawa, Ontario. and it's cold. And I think my favorite thing about where I live is the seasons. Right now, in the winter, it's fucking freezing, absolutely. And this thing happens. I don't know if you've ever experienced it. I don't know at what point it happens, but when it gets cold and the snow starts to fall, the sound of the world is muffled. And you're walking along, and it's as if the whole world has quieted down. It is magical. It is the moment when the world takes a breath and releases on a sigh, on a whim. And it feels beautiful. And it feels just incredible. And it's one of my favorite things in the whole world to experience. I also love when you go outside and there's a fresh blanket of snow. It's like a giant blank canvas. I'm a painter. I love me a blank canvas. I've got like a zillion of them up there. And all I want to do is put on all my snow gear and roll around in it. And then you reach a moment when winter turns to spring, and it's like the whole world just suddenly wakes up. And it's like, oh, hello, there you are. I've missed you. And it's beautiful, and you get all these amazing colors. So that wake up moment in spring is one of my favorites. Spring is my favorite season, always has been. It's being rivaled now, but then you have summer, and summer is my least favorite season. I would take cold over hot any day. Me and the heat are not the greatest friends. Cara, you're a freeze baby. I'm a heat baby. No. Ugh. It just doesn't work for me. So, but the sun in the summer, standing in the sun and closing your eyes and basking it in, it's beautiful. And the world is so alive, it teems with energy. It just feels like raw love and lust and glory, and it's wonderful. And then you have fall, and fall is what is rivaling spring now for my favorite in Canada. The fall, the colors. Red is my favorite color. It always has been. And those colors you get in fall, those moments, the colors of fall, the quiet of winter, the awakening of spring, the sun in the summer, especially if you go out in the summer in the morning, watching the sunrise, those moments, those are magic. That's when I feel that magic in my soul, in my being, in my body. That's my favorite thing. I can't imagine living year in and year out without seasons. So that's question 2. Let's find out what question 3 is. Question 3 was a 3-parter. It's, do you play any games? Are you a gamer? I do consider myself sort of a gamer. My husband is a gamer. My husband has a Nintendo Switch. We have a GameCube. We have all sorts of systems. I still play games. I play Mario Kart on the Switch with my husband. We play a lot of board games. We have a ton of board games. Our son, for his 4th birthday, for my husband's birthday, he wanted to go to Snakes and Lattes. So, and it's a board game cafe. You go, you pay $6, and you can stay there all freaking day. You pay for the cafe things still, of course, and they have tons of games. They have hundreds of games. So my husband wanted to go to Snakes and Lattes because, like I said, he is a gamer, for his birthday. And you play a lot of games, and my son, oh man, I've never seen a kid who loves games so much. You could sit there to my son and be like, would you like a cookie or would you like to play a game? And he would look at you and be like, games. That's it. And so for his birthday, his 4th birthday, everyone asked him what he wants. And he goes, games? That's it. That's all he wanted. So I have a shelf full of games. I come home from work, and the first words out of his mouth are, Mommy, do you want to play a game? So, yes, we play games. I play mostly board games. I really love card games. My husband also plays Magic the Gathering, which I used to play. I love playing euchre. I love games. I really like puzzles, which to me kind of fits in that category. Brain teasers, logic puzzles, logic games like that. I have not heard of Discord. My husband has. And that's all I got for that question. Now, let's find out question 4. So question 4, another about books, is books that have helped you on your path. Now, I ran out into the living room through that door. Boom, boom, boom. And I grabbed a different book that I did not talk about previously. I think it's safe to say that White Spirit Animals is a book that has helped me on my path. But since I've already discussed that for another question, I'm going to give you a different one. Here we have, just focus, For Earth's Sake. For Earth's Sake, Toward a Compassionate Ecology. And it's by Stephen Bede Sharper. Again, please excuse my butchering of your name, or of the name if you know it. And this is, someone has taken a professor's lectures and ideas and thoughts and turned it into a book. And I'm about, and that's where I am. So I'm about halfway through it, and I'm devouring it. I wish I could wrap myself up in this book in a bubble for like a year. I'm thinking on and planning on having blog posts about it. A, it talks about the earth, because it's called For Earth's Sake. B, it gives me a bunch of ideas. I've started a list. It's still very small, but I've started a list of things I want to research based on this. It's just, this book, like the other books I mentioned, it's giving me words that I did not have and that I could not find myself. It is taking me from a place where some of my beliefs made me feel alone and cold and in the dark. And it's just going, boop, here's a light. Here's other people who think and feel the same way you do. It's giving me ideas for how I want to live my life in a better way. So we have books that have helped me on my path. We have this one. We have The White Spirit Animals. We also have The Easy Way to Stop Smoking by Alan Carr. Because I feel like that book was the first real thing I did to take care of myself. And it was only when I opened this journey of starting to take care of myself that I started down on this whirlwind of a road 2 years ago. It's been over 2 years since I quit smoking. My last cigarette, my first smoke-free day was July 23rd, 2016. And it's been a whirlwind. And so this is the book that has helped me on my path, because right now my path is a path of learning. I know paths always seem to learn. Knowledge is power. I truly believe that. But mine is a path of learning. Mine is still a path of self-discovery. I'm meeting myself, it feels like. It feels like I'm being like, oh, hello, there you are. So, these books that give voice to opinions, that give me an outlet, that give me new words I can use, they are immensely helpful to me in my path right now. We only have one more question. Let's check out what it is. Okay, question 5. It's a doozy. And it's, what does ritual look like to you on your path? Initially, I'm sitting here and I'm like, so we're going to talk it out together. So I feel like to a lot of people, ritual is a much more specialized event, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just doesn't seem to ring true for me. There are a lot of things where I feel that ritualistic tendency, that ritual come to life. The way in which I sit down to paint. I love painting so much. And painting to me is a very sacred event. It's a very ritualistic event. I think I'm a very ritualistic person. I'm curious. Let's see what the definition of ritual is. Let's look it up. I love definitions. So ritual definition. A religious or solemn ceremony consisting of a series of actions performed according to a prescribed order. So to me that sounds like things that you do that are, I wouldn't just say religious, I would say spiritual, that are in a specific order. And I think there's a lot of things I do in those, because if you think of it as spiritual and you think of your whole being as spiritual, I am one of those who ascribes to the I am a spiritual being having a human experience. So if you think about that, then most everything you do habitually becomes a ritual. My setting up my paintings would definitely be a ritual. I'm ritualistic about the way I eat, or habitual. I very much do it. Here's the order. Boom, 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 boom. That's what it is. My bullet journaling is also something that I would consider ritualistic for me. I feel weird when I don't do it. My painting, after my painting, I feel fulfilled. I feel in a calmer, more stasis place of being. Same with our son's bedtime routine. It's a bedtime ritual. Of course, I have more fancy rituals out there. As of yet, I'm not a very big practicer based on what seems to be the definition to a lot of people. Reading is ritualistic to me. Reading is a practice. I do those types of practices. Setting up an altar. When I set up an altar, it's very ritualistic to me. It's definitely a ritualistic occurrence when I set up an altar. My altars are permanent altars. They tend to just stay there. So I guess a defining factor to me is A, the spirituality as opposed to the religiousness, and B, the feeling of the space I'm in when I do these things. When I am in that space, I do not feel like normal me. when I'm at service at my UU congregation, that too. If you haven't looked up and you don't know what it is, Unitarian Universalist congregations are amazing. I'll do a video about them, at least mine is. If you're in the Toronto or GTA area and you have a vehicle, I will link my congregation. They're amazing. The full moon circle I attend, which I attend through there, that's definitely ritual. So there are many things in my life that I believe constitute being a ritual and what it means to me. And a lot of them are things that I don't think other people would consider ritualistic. At least not all other people. And that's cool, because one of my favorite things is seeing the difference in the world, in people, because it's what makes the world go round. It would be really boring if everyone was the same. Then we wouldn't have a purpose for things like the Pagan Perspective and for things like this. And a little caveat to my earlier question, to question 3. My favorite game of all time that I thought of, it's the question game. My favorite thing of all time is trying to figure out what I classify as the human puzzle. So where you're born, it does not define you. It still contributes something to you. It contributes to what kind of environment you were raised in, weather-wise. It contributes these little nuggets which affect who you are. They may not change who you are. They may. But they affect who you are. And they help build and shape these things. If I didn't grow up for a majority of my childhood years, my big childhood remembering years in Winnipeg, I probably wouldn't have such a love of winter. I would probably be a lot more of a freeze baby than I am. So the human puzzle is just one of my favorite things to try and determine. And question games are one of my favorite ways how this has been so much fun. Fellow Pagan Perspective people, along with Cara. I've just covered Cara's. I haven't looked at yours yet. I do live a very busy life. I want to, and I can't wait to start being able to post videos in an indirect response way, because this is a lot of fun. And maybe one day I'll get to join you. Wouldn't that be cool? So, to whoever stuck it out, thank you so much. You mean a lot to me. And I hope you found something interesting. And I hope now that I've filmed this, it will be easier to sit down and do more sit-down videos. I was quite nervous. It feels like an extra layer of vulnerability talking about this stuff out loud to a camera, posting where millions of people can see it. But I did it, and I had fun. So I hope you did too. I hope my voice was soothing if you used it as background noise. I hope I made you laugh or smile or think even. If you want any more information about me, I've got social media. I've got a website, Facebook, Instagram, all down below. I've got my own private challenge group. It's still a little baby group. And I'd love it if you'd join us. You can find all sorts of more information about that stuff down below. I would be thrilled if you would give this video a like. If you want to subscribe, that would be great too. I'd love to have more people to talk to. Because, I mean, my husband gets so tired. No, I'm kidding. I really love being a part of this conversation. Even if right now it seems like I'm talking to myself. But I'm almost out of time, so I gotta go. Have a good one. Love and light.